Guys, all the cars that you see in these videos are for sale on my website, www.woodsandbarclay.com. Enjoy the video. Hey everyone, welcome back to the series on the Black Pearl, the 1985 300 SD. Today I'm going to redo the air conditioner. Let's see, I'm also going to do the radio that has Bluetooth added. I'm going to fix the original antenna. And if we have time in the video, I'm going to go ahead and get to the general maintenance, fluid, and filter changes. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, before we dive into the air conditioner, I have the air filter housing removed from the vehicle. And I want to go ahead and clean it up in the parts washer, reinstall it in the car. And let's see, I have some fresh grommets. Where'd those little things go? Yep, there we go. I have some fresh grommets I want to install on the mounting bracket and go ahead and get a fresh air filter in there. And then we're going to move to the AC system. Yeah, look, the zinc plating is still on this little center section. That's usually worn off long ago, but that's it's pretty cool. It's still on this car. Yeah, even the zinc plating is still on the clips that hold the housing lid on. Pretty cool. Just get everything dried off here, then we'll get this put back on the car. All right, we have the air filter housing installed, and I forgot to record installing the new bushings. And actually pulled the old bushings off of there. They weren't in horrible shape, but I went ahead, took these off, and just installed 3 of the new air filter housing bushings under there. Next thing we want to do is put the 10 millimeter nuts back in here. And I like to put little washers underneath them. These are just little washers to distribute the load. Now you don't need to go crazy tight, guys, or you'll break your little rubber mounts. There we go. That's all you want to do. Now, what's also important, on the 85 model, you have these vacuum lines that come back over the top, and they actually clip in. There's a clip right there. And you want to inspect your boots or your little rubber connectors. These are in outstanding condition. No reason to change any of those. And that one goes to the EGR. All right, let's get our filter in there. We'll go ahead and, there's also a band clamp down here that attaches to the turbo. I got to tighten that. Now, guys, I like to use the Hengst filter. This is also made in Germany. I used to use MAN for years, but something happened with the MAN manufacturing process, and they don't fit on there very well anymore. So the Hengst, you can see, just slides right down on there like it's supposed to. And yeah, the MANs don't fit that well. All right, let me get the lid back on here. Now, you guys aren't going to be able to see this, but down here, there is a band clamp that goes around the front of the turbo. And we're going to tighten that down. All right, this should be securely mounted now. Yeah, that's great. All right, let me get the cover on here, and then let's move to the AC compressor. All right, this guy's still a little wet from the parts washer, but I'll dry it off. Let's get our clips out of the way. There we go. And this is just a press fit back onto the top. Look at that. The original insulation is still on this breather tube hose, which is pretty remarkable. That stuff is usually always long gone. All right. Let's go ahead and get our 10 millimeter on here and connect our accordion tube right here. There we go. Beautiful. All right, we've got that cleaned up, reinstalled, new filter, new mounting bushings, all that's reconnected. Let's go ahead and raise it and take a look at our AC compressor. Now, keep in mind the AC is working on this car. It has been converted to R134. We see the blue cap there. And the previous owner, when I was picking up the car, I was asking about the AC, and you can see he just recently replaced the receiver dryer. See, let me get down in here. That is a brand new receiver dryer. However, this car has the old compressor on here, so for good measure, we want to remove that. And over here on the bench, I have a brand new compressor still in the wrapper. We want to replace our seals on there. And here's all the AC equipment. We're going to vacuum the system down, check to see if there's any leaks. There's our new refrigerant oil, our compressor oil, and there's our gauges, and there's our oil injector. So let me get this in the air. Let's get that thing off of here. Okay, I know I'm kind of skipping around a lot. I went ahead and sucked out the existing refrigerant in the system. So now it's empty, and it'll be safe to remove that compressor. So let's go ahead and get this up in the air now. Okay, here's that old AC compressor. First thing I want to point out, look at the condition of all these lines. Like, that zinc plating is still shiny on there. Look at the oil cooler lines. It's just remarkable to see these cars like this. There you can see that engine mount has been replaced. See, that's a new one up in there. Zinc plating is still on the cover. Anyway, let me go ahead and show you how to get this out. So first we have, I think that's like a 14 or 16 millimeter. That holds the manifold to the back of this old compressor. And you can see this compressor, I think that's a Harrison. And it's still working, but that's been on there for, God, who knows, probably like a decade. But what we need to do, we're going to take out this bolt here. Now keep in mind, you have a washer here and a spacer right there. You got to save that spacer. Then you have this bolt right here that goes through, and you also have a spacer right there. You got to make sure you save that spacer. And then the final bolt, you can barely see it, is right there, back behind here. So let me take those three out of here. I'll drop this compressor, and we're going to get our new one installed. All right, guys, I've already cracked this bottom one loose, and I just wanted to show you guys what this looks like. You have a big, long bolt like that, and it has the spacer here, a washer, and let me show you the other spacer. All right, let's see if we can get it to fall out. There it comes. There we go. It's very important that you put these back or your compressor will not fit. See, the mounting bracket goes between here, and that's on the compressor front side and the back side. Okay, to get that next bolt out, that's the one that's hidden back there. You got to have like see how this wrench will bend so it clears everything. And then you can get that guy out of here. See if we can loosen it. There we go. And then we're going to get, that's a really long one. So let me get that one out. Okay, we have this one loose here and that one loose there. Now, the one on the back of the compressor that holds this manifold, it's a 15 millimeter. So we got to crack that loose, and that's usually in there pretty tight. So I'll put it on there and then get a hammer and tap right there, and then it'll crack that one loose. All right, hopefully you guys can see this. So once I get that on there, I'll take a hammer. There we go. And that will break that one loose. And that's what holds the manifold to the back of the compressor. Okay, I've got the manifold loose. And we got one more bolt, just barely holding it in there. So first thing I want to do is unplug the power. There we go. And now if I undo this bolt, hopefully it's not going to fall on my head, but we're almost there. There we go. Got it. All right. Let's get this guy out of here. There we go. All right, once we have the compressor out, I always look up here and see how clean it is inside here. When your compressors like fail and come apart and blow stuff back through your AC lines, you'll have all kinds of gunk and shrapnel and debris up in here. And you can see that compressor was in good condition. See, it's very clean. There's no debris. There's nothing to clean out there. So that's a great sign that the system, it was working and in good health. All right, so here is our old compressor over here. And yeah, that's the old O-ring style compressor. So this thing is old. Surprisingly, it was still working, but we want to get our modern design in there with these sealing rings. And guys, you want to use the green and gold. You never use the red. And it's very deceiving because you'll think the red ones are the ones that go in there because it looks like they're the ones that fit right. Do not use the red. It's always the green and gold seal. All right, let's go ahead, prep this compressor and get it installed. Okay guys, on the new compressors, there's a little sticky note they put on here. And you can see that this one says, compressor is pre-charged with 3 ounces of oil. See right there at the top? Now, if you try to install this compressor with that oil in there, they sit like this. And all that oil is going to pour out all over you. So what you have to do is take off the seal. There we go. Good. And we want to drain out this oil, and then we're going to recharge the system with that 3 ounces of oil that we removed. Now, this was a working AC, so there's already oil in it. So we don't need to add additional oil to the system. We just want to refill it with what comes out of the compressor, because there's the systems take around 6 ounces of oil. And since this system was already working and had been serviced, we know the oil is already in there. So we're only adding in back 3 ounces. So let's go ahead and drain this out of here. And this will take a minute. I'll be back in a second when it's done. Now, also in the instructions for these compressors, they want you to use a clutch holding tool, which that's what this is. And they want you to rotate the compressor about 10 times prior to installing it to make sure everything is in good shape. And also when I rotate it, it allows me to get a little more oil out. Now we can rotate this. And we want to do it about 10 times. And there should be like, 10 or 15 pounds of torque required. If it's like, 30 or 40 pounds, there's something wrong with your compressor. This one, we can see, is perfect. All right, let's see if we can get any more oil out of here now. Sometimes a little extra will come out. Just a couple of drops. I think we got it all out of there. Okay, we got all that oil out of there, and this is a graduated cylinder. And we can see right there, there's our ounces. See, 5, 4, 2. There we go. This has a little over 2 ounces, maybe 2.5 ounces came out. So that's what we're going to put back in, and there's probably a 1/2 ounce still in there, kind of inside the compressor. All right, let's go ahead, get our seals opened up, and then we'll get this thing reinstalled. All right, just real quick, I'm inspecting our belt, and I can see this belt has been changed at some point. There's no cracking or damage or wear on it. So we're going to keep this belt on here. Now, guys, I could install a brand new belt, even though there's nothing wrong with this one. And here's what's going to happen. If I put a brand new belt on there, which we're not going to because we don't need to replace this one. But when you put a brand new belt on there, after a little bit of usage, it's going to stretch ever so slightly. And when it does that, your compressor is going to start rattling. Then you're going to have to put the car up on, jack stands and stuff, go under there, loosen all the bolts, retighten the tensioner, and readjust the belt tension. And that's not really a fun job to do. So anytime the belt is in good condition on these cars, I like to leave it Otherwise, you're going to get the car, the compressor is going to sound great for a few weeks, and then it's going to start rattling because that new belt stretches out. So we're definitely leaving this good condition belt on here. Let's get the compressor back up in here. All right, I have a light up there so I can see what I'm doing. It might make the camera shot not so good, but I have to put a light up there. And these compressors are a little heavy. So let's get that around here. Let's get our belt back around there. Okay, our belt's on there. We're going to get this one bolt threaded right up here. Now I can start to torque everything else back down. All right, we have that big bolt there with the spacer, washer, and the spacer. We have our spacer back here, and this one is threaded back here. Now you'll notice there is a small gap between the compressor and where our seals go. That's how you want it. And it's pretty, the green seal is easy. You put that on because there's a little like snout right there. There you go. The seal goes around that. But now the gold seal, you just got to get it balanced in there and then get this center bolt right here started to hold it in there. And then we can start torquing everything back down. And this is kind of a tough job. You'll drop that gold seal probably 5 times before you get it in there. All right, let's see if I can record this process for you and you'll see how difficult it is. So the green one, easy. Just put that right up there, put it around the snout and see how it kind of stays there. Hopefully I'm not in the way of the camera here. Now the gold one, see, here's our gold seal. We've got to get like right up in here. Oh my God. Okay, guys, that slipped right in. Normally, when you watch me do this, I drop that like 5 times. It never goes in that easy. This has been like a really easy compressor install. I don't know why this went in so easy. Normally, it's a lot more cussing involved. It's just one of my lucky days today. There we go. Wow, that's amazing. It literally never goes in that easy, but I guess I'm going to look good on the video today. All right, now I want to go ahead and start tightening all these bolts in. And when I'm done doing that, then I'm going to tighten up the bolt on the back of the AC manifold here. Now we want to tighten up the AC manifold so those seals are good and snug in there. Now remember how tight it was before? I had to knock it loose with a hammer. So you want to get this pretty damn snug. There we go. That is good and tight. And our seals are in there. Perfect. Look how pretty that is up in there, guys. That's the beauty of these low mileage cars. All right, last thing we want to check here is the belt tension. Perfect. So see how snug that is, guys? You want these compressor belts pretty tight. And that, since this belt was already on the other compressor, we didn't make an adjustment. We just tightened everything back up. And now this is exactly where it was. So I know that's not going to start rattling. And like I said, when you put new belts on here, you have to come back in a few weeks, undo all these bolts, make an adjustment to the belt tensioner, come in here, check it, then redo all these bolts because these compressors, it will rattle up here if these belts get loose. But we're going to be good, and that's not going to happen on this one because this belt, even though it's a used belt, it has been replaced and it's already gone through that initial stretch cycle. All right, guys, we have the vacuum gauges and pressure gauges up here. Let me show you how these work. So this reads pressure that way, but if you see it when it goes backwards, it reads negative 30 inches of mercury, which is right, yeah, you can see it right there. So we're going to open up both of these gauges, or both of these lines. We have it hooked to our AC system. And we want to put this under a vacuum. We're going to suck it down for like 45 minutes. We should see these gauges start to drop. And it's going to suck all the air out of there, get it under a vacuum, and then we're going to shut it off, and we're going to let it sit overnight to make sure it holds vacuum, because if there's a leak in the system, then the vacuum is not going to hold, and our gauge is going to go back up towards 0. So you can see it slowly sucking down, and it usually gets to around negative 28 inches of mercury, something like that. So I'm going to let that run for a minute until we get all the air out of the system. I'll be back in a second. All right, let's turn off our vacuum pump. It's been running about 45 minutes. Actually, sorry, before I turn it off, let me close my gauges here. All right, there we go. All right, let's take a look at our vacuum. You can see there it's just shy of that negative 30 mark. It's usually like negative 28 or so on both sides. So now we can shut off our pump, and I'm going to let this sit all night and into early afternoon tomorrow. And we want to come back and see, there we go, see that gauge in the same place. All right, guys, it is like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. I just wanted to come take a quick check here. And I can see we have dropped a little bit on our vacuum. So that means we do have a slight leak somewhere. And my guess is when this new receiver dryer was installed, let me turn on the light. There we go. When that new receiver dryer was installed, I bet you they didn't change the O-rings down here. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect these and make sure. They should be green O-rings. That's what the new stuff is. But if the original black ones, we're going to make sure we change those and then vacuum back down the system and test again. Okay, I went ahead and pulled those O-rings out of there. And here's there's two brand new ones right here. They did, in fact, have the green ones in there. I don't know if there was one that was maybe pinched or had a slight leak in it. So I'm going to go ahead and replace these O-rings, and then we're going to vacuum down the system and see how that holds. All right, we got those old O-rings out here. I have my O-rings kit out here. I found the right ones, and we just put some fresh ones in there. So now we have fresh O-rings on those fittings and the compressor. And I've got it back under vacuum again. There we go. We're back down to, well, if you look at it from this angle, you can see right around negative 30 or so. And we're going to go ahead and let this sit. All right, guys, it's about lunchtime the next day. Beautiful day in Georgia. It's about 70 degrees. And let's go in here and see if our vacuum held. Come on, baby. Boom. Look at that. Perfect. So yeah, it was those the seals they had put on that receiver dryer. One of them was leaking. Well, good. We got new compressor seals, new receiver dryer seals, and we are golden. So let's go ahead and start recharging this guy. Okay, this stuff here is great. It's Frigiquiet. It's made by BG. I think you have to have a wholesale account to get it, but it's the oil for R134 systems, and you can see it's green. It already has the dye or the leak detector in there. And here's my oil injector. So I can just screw this down, and this holds about 2 ounces, not about, it holds 2 ounces of oil. You can see there's graduated markings that tell me, well, there we go. You can see 1/4 ounce, 1/2 ounce, 3/4 ounce, and you just screw it down until you get to the marking. So we want to put in, remember we took about 2.5 ounces out of that compressor. So we want to put that back into the system. Now, remember the system's under vacuum right now. So when it's under vacuum, let's just go ahead and apply the oil, and that vacuum is going to help suck it into the system. And one of my old mentors, Stan from Kelly and Stan's Automotive, he's actually retired now, but basically he was the godfather of these of these cars. He knew everything and every trick of the trade. And he showed me how you could connect the oil to the high pressure side of the system while it's under vacuum. And then it'll just kind of suck it in there. So we're going to go ahead and fill this up with the oil and then put it in through the high pressure port. All right, the 126 or the 300 SD is nice because that high pressure port is right here in front of the car. On the 123, it's up under the car on the passenger side. So right now, this is closed, so we're not going to lose any vacuum. I'm going to take off our line here. There we go. I'm going to get a rag because I'm going to get drip oil. All right, there we go. Now we're just going to screw this onto that high pressure fitting there, or the high pressure port. Okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead, start pumping it. Now we need to open the system. And remember, it's under vacuum. So there we go. And see that vacuum? Look how easy it's sucking all that oil in there. See how easy it is to turn this? All right. Now I want to close the system. There we go. Now we'll just unscrew this guy. And our oil has been put back in the system. Now I'll probably add another, remember it had like 2.5 ounces that came out. So I'll add that half ounce a little later, but that's sufficient. So we're gonna fire up the car now and go ahead and put in our R134. Now I need to show you how much R134 we need to put in the system. All right, right here on the core support, it tells us. So see, it says maximum R12 automotive air conditioner. Right there for the 123 and the 126 chassis, 2.9 pounds. Now for R134, you want to do 75% of the capacity of the R12. So 2.9 pounds of R12. Okay, just did some math right here on the table. So 2.9 pounds, that's R12, times 0.75. That means we need to put in 2.175 pounds of R134. Now, guys, you don't have to get that exactly correct. That's just like the maximum you want to put in there. You can get, in that general area. Also converted that to ounces. So 2.9 pounds of R12 times 16 is 46.4 ounces. 46.4 ounces times 0.75, 75%, is 34.8 ounces. So 2.175 pounds or 34 ounces. And the cans come, I think, in 12 or 16 ounce cans. So we'll put in the equivalent number of cans to get close to these numbers here. Okay, I have our first R134 can hooked up there. And the car is up on the lift. So I got to crank it up, but because it's on the lift, you may hear a little rattling. But what we need to do is crank the car and put the AC on full blast, and then we can start charging. Okay, before I do that, I want to make sure there's no air in this line before I open up the system after cranking the car. So there's a purge valve right here. All right, there we go. We have R134 coming out of there. So let me go fire up the car, and we will start this process. We'll open up the valves. So let me go ahead and close both of these. And keep in mind, guys, this car has not been cranked since I've had it in the shop because we were doing all the suspension and everything else. So this will be the first cold start in, I don't know, it's been maybe a month or so. Look at that, she fired right up. All right, let me just checking everything here. Let me put the AC on high. There we go. Freon R134 is going in the system. Alright, so I'm slowly going to work in 3 cans here, roughly 3 cans. And then we're going to take readings with a thermometer for my gauge. Alright guys, I had a little rattling of the air cleaner against the valve cover. And when that happens, you need to increase your idle. You can see it's not making any noise and it's very smooth right now. And let me show you where you increase your idle. So, right there. See that? That requires a flathead screwdriver. But first, you stick a socket down there and you crack loose the 14mm lock nut. So we cracked that loose, then I adjusted the idle up, and now I'm going to retighten it back, and it makes where your air cleaner does not vibrate against the throttle mounting brackets here. Alright, let's go back to the AC. We've already got 1 can in, and we can actually see our compressor is spinning. It has started down there. So let me go ahead, put in the other 2 cans, and then we're going to take a reading from inside the car. Alright, I've got can number 2 connected here. And if we look up here, I'm not sure if you guys can see in that sight glass. There you go, see the refrigerant going into the system? So we just need to let that can empty. We'll set that right there. And actually, let me get my thermometer. And we're going to go take a reading to see where we're at, because it should be starting to get cold. Oh yeah, we're starting to get cold for sure. All right, so, oh wow, yeah. We're gonna set that. Remember, I have my vents out because I was doing the wood trim, so I had my vents taken out. Okay, yeah, we're already getting down. Yeah, it's already very cold. Oh yeah, we're getting close to the 40-degree range already. All right, I got 1 more can to go, and we should be done, and I'll come back and measure that again. Guys, while we're waiting on this last can to go in, I just want you to see how smooth I've got that engine idling. Ignore the air cleaner. The frame rate of the camera makes that thing look like it's moving very strangely, but it's not. I got that idle adjusted perfect. Let's drop this in here and see how fast it drops. There we go. Green is 40 degrees. There you go. You can see the green there. Look at it dropping. We might even get down into the high 30s here. All right, I think we're at 39 degrees. Now keep in mind, it's only 70 degrees outside, guys, so this is gonna go really cold. There we go. I think we're holding at about 37 degrees. Now, on a hot summer day when it's like 90 degrees outside, that'll probably be around 43, 44 degrees. But I would say mission accomplished on that. That is an awesome functioning AC. All right, guys, mission accomplished on the AC. Like I said, because it's like 70 degrees out right now, it dropped down into like the high 30s. But normally, you know, during the summer when it's 85, 90 degrees, it'll get down to the low 40s. That's more reasonable. It got that cold because it's not very hot outside right now. Anyway, mission accomplished on the air conditioner. Next thing we want to do is move to the radio and the antenna. So let's get started on that. Also, before I put my caps back on the AC fittings, I like to go in here with a screwdriver and just bump it. Just like that. And that ensures that it's closed and it's a good seal. All right. And that's the high pressure line. We'll go to the low pressure line. And there's a Schrader valve in there, so I'm just going to bump it just a little bit. There we go, right like that. And then I'll put this cap back on. All right. Here is our Becker 6112 radio. I just got it back. There we go. You can see they put the Bluetooth sticker on here. Now my radio guy goes through it, replaces any components that he needs to. And that is an original Becker 612. So we are going to get this back in the car. All right. So first we need to get this radio out of here. And to do that, we're going to go ahead and pop out this. Let's see. And there are 2 Phillips screws down here. I'm going to take those out. There we go. I'll just drop those down in the ashtray. This car has never been smoked in. Yeah, that's good. There we go. That, yeah, has definitely never been out of the car. Now I'm just going to hang that over there. I guess I could unplug it, but no reason to. Okay, this Becker, now there's 2 clips right here. If you depress the clip, trick is you got to get them both down at the same time. So I'm going to stick a screwdriver in that one and then press this one with my thumb. There we go. All right. Yeah, this has never been out of the car, you guys. That's pretty cool. So we shouldn't have to do any wiring. Should just be a plug and play. And I will send this one off to be gone through and potentially Bluetooth added. Yeah, we got all the original connections back here. This has never been tampered with, which is pretty awesome. Often I have to rewire all the original harnesses in these radios. All right, now I need to get a 10 millimeter in order to undo our ground connection back here. So I'll just set. And you know, guys, these are 40-year-old radios, so you definitely want to send them off to have them gone through. We're gonna put this one in the box and send this one off now that we have the other one back. And I just keep rotating them because you always want to have them rebuilt to make sure they work correctly. All right, and get our ground strap off the back of here. There we go. All right, we'll set that there. And let me get our freshly rebuilt radio with the Bluetooth added internally. And now, guys, the Bluetooth, you can't do like voice or talking Bluetooth. It's only for streaming music. It's not a microphone. These radios don't have any microphone pickups. There's just a Bluetooth module added inside, which allows you to stream from your phone. All right, and you can see this is the identical radio. It is the Becker 612. So let's go ahead and set this here. And first we're going to connect our ground. There you go. And before I button everything back up, I just want to connect it and make sure everything works. Okay, there's our ground. There's our antenna signal right there. There's our speakers. Get those out of here. There's our speaker connections. And we have our antenna trigger. Let me find where that went to. There it is. Now you got to plug this one in first before you plug your power cable in, or your power cable will not go in. That's just a little blade connector. Plugs in right back there. There we go. Now you can stick your power in. There is everything hooked up with all the original wiring. Now I'm just temporarily going to set it back in here. And then I want to test to make sure everything's good. We'll just give it accessory power. Oops, turn off my AC. Okay, good. I see the time. Let me check if I turn the lights on. Cool, it correctly lights up. All right, let me turn the volume down and turn this on. Beautiful. All right, cool. The antenna control works. All right, good. Let me check the bass controls. Perfect. I'm just checking our bass and treble. Oh yeah, perfect. Let me check our fader. Oh, great. Got speakers in the back, speakers all around. Cool. That is a perfectly working radio. Now I'm just going to go off camera for a second because I want to connect my phone to it and make sure the Bluetooth is working. I'll be back in a second. All right, guys, I just connected via Bluetooth to the radio. It's called JC Audio and then some numbers after it. So when you go to connect, you just look for JC Audio and the Bluetooth works perfect. So let's get this back in here, and now we're going to work on the antenna mast. All right, so I did end up taking out the ashtray because the wood trim attachment at the bottom of the ashtray had started to lift. And I see, like somewhere in the past, so you see that yellow glue? That is where, there we go. That's where someone attached the aluminum backing plate, which you can barely see the aluminum color right there, back to the ashtray. That has started to come off. But what we've had going on, and it's a good attachment, that glue is very strong. But we've actually encountered the wood trim detaching from the aluminum backing plate. And guys, this is common. I have to do this all the time on these cars. Now, the wood looks great. There's nothing wrong with the wood. So what we do to fix this, here's the glue drawer. Here we go. This is JB Weld quick setting 5-minute epoxy, and it dries clear. And we mix up a batch of that, and you can see, let me zoom in here. Okay, you see that clear epoxy right there? That's where it squirted out just a little bit. That yellow stuff is from the previous owner attaching a different piece. And now keep in mind, it's upside down. When it's in the car, you actually never see that area again. You can see, and I've got it clamped down. And we're going to let that dry. Now, against the wood, I have rags so the clamps aren't pressing on the wood, or else you'll mess up your wood. So anyway, that's going to dry. I'll let that dry for maybe 2 or 3 hours. It actually, even though it says 5 minutes, it cures overnight. But after 2 or 3 hours, that'll be bonded, and we can put that back in the car. I'll show you the results here shortly. All right, so let's go back here and check out this antenna. And you'll notice the antenna grommet is good. That's in good condition, but that antenna is broken off. And if you remember in the video when I was picking up the car, the original owner said he was backing up to park it next to his airplane, and he had the antenna up. Here it is right here. And it broke off. Oh, actually, this is a replacement antenna he got. Oh, good. So we have the replacement antenna mast right here. But he said he was backing under his airplane wing, and the antenna was up, and he broke it off on his airplane wing. And there we go. So we just need to install. He already got the replacement antenna mast, so we just need to take this one out. All right, so we might have to remove the antenna from the car, but I'm just going to see if we can actually get this mast out without removing the whole antenna from the car. Just depends on if it's crammed down inside of there or what's going on. Okay, good. So he actually pulled out the entire antenna when he broke it off. See, this piece right here is that piece right there. And so the antenna goes down and goes around this piece. And see, that's what's in my hand. So he pulled the mast and all that out. So I think we just need to feed this down in here. And now this is a two-man job. So let me get a helper. All right. Just checking our epoxy. Yeah, the epoxy is hardened. I just cracked it in half. So we can take these off now. All right, beautiful. Now I just need to get my fingerprints off of there. But see, that part of the ashtray goes inside there, and then you pull it out, and it's literally, no one will ever see underneath there. So where that previous owner put that yellow colored glue behind there, it's okay. But I glued back, let's see. So I glued this piece to there's a very thin aluminum piece right there, and that's where it started to separate. But now that is as good as new. So we'll clean this up and get this back in the car. And here you go. This is a part I had on the shelf, genuine Mercedes part. And you can see from the factory, instead of gluing, Mercedes puts these they're like these little square double-sided tape. And what happens over the years, those things just deteriorate and fail. And so the wood will slowly start to lift off the backing plate. And that's what we applied glue to right there and glued that back to the backing plate. Very, very common on these cars. Okay, guys, I'm in deep now. After I re-glued our ashtray, I looked right. Oh, there you go. You see those two cracks running across the wood? There's one there and one there. And I also took a look at the condition down in the cigarette lighter, and it's a little crusty looking down in there. I don't know if that's going to work. So I grabbed one of my spare ashtrays off the shelf. This is the identical piece out of a 126. And that is a flawless piece of wood with no cracks. And we have a cigarette lighter in this one. And this one's in better shape. So I've got that taped off. I just cleaned it with acetone and reapplied epoxy and attached my good wood piece to this one. And that's going to dry, and that's going to be the one that's going back in the car. All right, guys, it's the next day. There is our beautiful, perfect condition ashtray trim. It's funny, the wood grain on that piece is almost identical to the piece that we pulled out of the car. Anyway, this one also has the, see if I can open it. There we go. This one also has the cigarette lighter. And before I put it in the car, I want to spray some deox down in there, because that's important that your 12 volt, like to charge your phone, you want your little power supply to be able to plug in there and charge correctly. All right, this is the stuff you spray in there, deox it. This stuff is great. We're just going to spray that all down in there, and we'll dry that off, get this back in the car. All right, and while we're at it, we want to go ahead, replace, that's the ashtray bulb, and we have a replacement right here. So let's go ahead, we'll pull that out, replace it, and get everything buttoned back up. Okay, before we push that back in there, we're going to test our ashtray bulb here. All right, perfect. That all lights up like it's supposed to. All right, our last test, here's like a little USB, charger for your phone. Now, these sockets can be very finicky with these things. Sometimes you have to jiggle them around. There we go. You got to jiggle it till it makes contact just right. There we go. So that is lit up. We do have power, and we are done with the ashtray. Let's go ahead and button this back up. All right, we got our screws back in there. Let's put our cigar lighter. Mercedes calls it a cigar lighter, not a cigarette lighter. Put that back in there. Now that I spent way too long on the ashtray, let's go back to the antenna. And there we go. We can see how nice our wood trim looks now. That's perfect. And it's also a perfect match to the existing trim in the car. And guys, that's why I asked to please be patient when you're buying a car from me, because I just spent like hours on a damn ashtray. But we got it right now. So anyway, let's go to the antenna. Hopefully that doesn't take hours. All right, guys, I had to recruit some help to press the antenna button on the dash while I feed the antenna in. I think you guys know this guy. Okay, so I'm gonna lower the car down. Scott's gonna hit the button so I can feed the antenna in. There we go, I think I got it this time. Nope. All right, I'm gonna have to remove the antenna from the car and manually feed it. All right, thanks for trying. All right, I failed to rethread the antenna. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. You got like a 50-50 shot. I couldn't get it on this one. So we're back here in the trunk area, and you can see I've just removed the rear taillight assembly, and I've unplugged it. There's our plug right there, and laid that down. And now we actually have a little grommet we need to remove right there. And then we're going to, we'll just set that aside, pull that one out there. But anyway, next we're going to just pull this down, and there's our antenna right there. We're actually going to remove it from the car so I can thread the antenna back in on the bench. Okay, once we have our inner fender liner out, and guys, you can see this has never been out of the car. That's the original Cosmoline wax that was sprayed in the seams down there. And there's these pieces always deteriorate and come off. That's just little insulation that was around the, what do you call it? That is the sunroof retracting cable housing. And this stuff always deteriorates. It's just like a foam. We'll take that out of there. And right there, we need to undo that screw right there, and this antenna comes out of the car. Now first I need to disconnect my antenna right here. That's the actual physical antenna cable. There we go. Pull that out of there. And then we need to undo our ground, and we can pull this out. And sorry, I forgot to unhook my power cable. There we go. All right, let's get this over onto the bench. All right, first we need to open up the housing. You can see I've already got it started on this side. And you basically stick a screwdriver there. We want to twist it just a little and then pop up. There we go. There's little plastic clips. You got to be careful doing this so you don't break it. This one off. There we go. Okay. You can see the condition of our antenna is it's beautiful condition. Yeah, look in there. Those parts are all outstanding condition. You can see it's even got the grease still on here. We're going to re-grease our worm gear. But let's go ahead and feed in our new antenna. And okay, cool. There is no old antenna. And I see there's our antenna right there. Boom, there we go. All right, here's where I'm working right here. So this piece, see that turns, and it has this spring right here, and this locks in to the spring. And so when the worm gear turns this one, it turns this one. And what was happening is this one was turning, but this one was not turning below it. So I'm guessing the engagement was a little off. Let's see if I can get that to go together better. Has this little bushing. It goes right on there. There we go. Okay, good. That's what we're looking for. So let's slip this back on here. Okay, those are now locked back together. So apparently where this gear engages that spring had like popped loose. So I think we're going to be good now. Let's put our washer back on here. Yeah, because everything was fine. There's no damage to anything. But maybe that happened when the old antenna broke. I don't know. It like knocked it out of alignment. Who knows? All right, let's get this clip back on here. Okay. Boom. All right, let's feed back through our antenna. So you can see our antenna right there. All right, there we go. Push it down there. There we go. See how they're rolling together now? And we got to get underneath our little bearing gear, our little bearing right there. Perfect. Now we're feeding in there. Okay, we have some more antenna drama. You can see I just temporarily removed the circuit board so I could connect to the positive and negative of the motor. And I discovered that that was an aftermarket antenna mast, and the plastic piece here was like that much too long. And so it didn't like to go all the way in. Now, over on the shelf over there, this is an original Hirschman. You can see, if it'll focus, see that's an H. I don't know if it'll focus. There you go. It's upside down, but that's an H. This is an original Hirschman antenna mast. So I'm going to thread this in, see if this one works better. Okay, still more antenna drama. So I've got the circuit board out, and we've got the original Hirschman antenna mast in, but it still was not winding all the way down. And what I'm betting is underneath here, there's some old antenna. Look at that. That was the problem. Look at this. There is old antenna broken off and jammed down in here. Look at that. That is why the antenna would not go in no matter what I did. I was wondering why everything else, I was looking at these gears and I was like, why, you know, it looked like it was in there right. I was like, why is that one not spinning correctly? And then I tried the original Hirschman antenna mast, which was like that much shorter. I figured that might have been the problem. And it turns out there was old antenna wrapped up around in there where it had broken off. Jeez. I should have checked that first. All right. We're just going to put this back together. What a pain in the butt. Guys, these go back together real easy. You got a shaft that goes around through there. Then you have our gears that go back in on the top like that. Pretty simple. Wow. What a royal pain in the butt for something so stupid. And you know what? The funny part is I've seen that before and I just didn't think to check it on this one for some reason. Oh, wow. Way smoother. Okay, let's put our inspection cover back on. Sure does go in there easy now. All right. Get this reattached here. Let's see if this will go all the way in now. We're watching the mast up here. Guys, antenna is fixed. Wow. All right. Now we just want to hook back up. our connections for the antenna control to the circuit board. It's just a positive and negative that hook onto the side here. There we go. There we go. All right, then this circuit board just goes right back in here. There we go. And our little wires plug in right there. Now there's something I want to show you when you're putting your antenna back on. There's these little spacers. They're just rubber grommets. And they go on these three little pegs here, like that. Now there's also one that presses right here on top of the circuit board, and you can see that one's right there, but those spacers make contact with the cap. So you want to get those all lined up. There we go. All right. That is all back together the correct way. What a pain in the butt that was. This is going to work great though. Let's go put it in the car and I'll show you. All right guys, there's one more thing I want to show you. The little gasket here, antenna gasket, had been replaced, but this is not a genuine Mercedes. And you can see I ripped it out of there, but these are like made out of this hard plastic material, and they do not install correctly. Like this one was actually lifted up in the back a little bit, and you can see, yeah, see where they had like something on there trying to press it down in there. It's very tempting to buy those, but do not do it. You want to get the genuine Mercedes, part number 126-827-1598. All right, there you go. See the little Mercedes icon right there. These are made out of a soft rubber. See that? And they install correctly. So we're going to go ahead and replace this grommet. And guys, all the stuff I'm showing you in these videos, you have to do this on every one of these cars. And if you don't, it's because someone already has. So when you see these cars come up for sale on, these auction sites, just remember, you're going to have to do all this. Somebody's going to have to do all this. This is just normal stuff for these cars at this age. All right, we've got that in there. I want to pull it down with a set of pliers from the back side. Now, before I do that, this won't hurt anything. This is just silicone lubricant. I'm going to squirt some silicone around it, and that'll wipe right off, guys. That will not hurt your paint. It's just silicone spray. Now, we want to, here, I'll hold the camera there. We want to go from the back side with some pliers. Now I want to grab the underside of it. There we go. Pull it right down in there. Boom. Let me see if I got this side over here. Oh, need to get that corner right there. Oh, there we go. Got it. All right, now let me wipe off all that silicone. All right, there we go. That is a correct Mercedes antenna grommet. And see how it fits in there very nicely? Those aftermarket ones do not fit like that. So we just install this the same way. Now there's like, see this like bulb on the end? That squishes up and pops into that grommet we just installed. There we go. Gotta push it up. There we go, it's in our grommet now. All right, guys, I need to put the little ground strap back, hook up our antenna right there, put in the power, and then put our mounting bolt there. And we have a nice new antenna, and we'll test it out. All right, I'm just getting in the car. I'm going to turn on the radio. Oh, there we go. 100% functioning antenna. That is a beautiful thing. All right, let me try the manual controls. All right, I'm manually going down. I'm stopping. I'm going a little more. I'm stopping. Now I'm pressing the down switch on permanently. Perfect. All right, one final test. All right, got everything buttoned up back here and put our little plastic retaining clip back in place. Got our tail lights back on. Good to go. All right, we have a perfectly working antenna. I spent a lot of extra time on two very small things in this video, but trying to get the car as nice as possible. Anyway, that's it for this video. In the next video, we'll probably do like valve adjustment, oil change, filters, the general maintenance stuff. So I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Take care.